So we were discussing about the taxable event in case of import and export of goods. Okay, there are two kind of things here. Taxable event in case of imports. In case of goods cleared for home consumption, okay, the goods which are being cleared from home consumption, when they cross the boundaries of boundaries by way of water or any other boundaries, so there whenever they are used for the home consumption or whenever they are directly consumed, taken as the consumption, that event is called as the taxable event in case of the imports, because they are filing, they reach the custom barriers and bill of entry for home consumption is filed. But in some cases, the goods are not directly consumed. They are the goods which are cleared for a warehousing, right? When you don't do it as a home consumption, the goods will be taken into a warehouse. So whenever you are taking into the warehouse, when they are not cleared, so at the time of taking of the warehouse, that mass of the goods will get created in the country. So even that is also called as a taxable event in case of imports. Okay. Now clearance for home consumption. How does this clearance for home consumption happens? It implies that custom duty on import goods has been paid, and thus goods can be removed by the importer for utilization or consumption. Anytime he can utilize it, because after doing a clearance of home consumption, the importer has paid, and thus he can remove the importer or utilization or consumption he can do within the country itself. And in case of clearance for warehouse, where the goods are not immediately they are not cleared for home consumption, they may be deposited with a warehouse and cleared at a later point of time. In such a case, the collection of custom duty will be deferred till such goods are cleared from warehouse. Like, these are two different cases. In first case, directly the goods are cleared for home consumption. And in second case, the goods are not cleared for home consumption, but they are kept in the warehouse. They will be cleared at some future date. So whenever the goods are cleared at the future date, that time the taxable event in case of import is going to happen. Now, the second case is taxable in event of in case of exports. So export of goods is completed when the goods cross the territorial water of India. If the ship sinks within that territorial water, the export is not complete. So whenever the water boundaries are passing from one country to other country, when you reach the part of the other country, there we can call as export. But if the export doesn't happen, if the ship sinks in between the ocean or a sea itself, the export is not completed. However, the duty has to be collected before ship leaves the port. Before ship is leaving to other country, before it leaves the port of India, the duty has to be collected. Therefore, the taxable event arises when proper officer makes an order permitting clearance, and he has to give a clearance. The officer should give a clearance about the goods which are going out of the country as an export. And outward, like entry outward is granted, and loading of the goods takes place. Entry outward in the sense they will be having a record. In that record, the outward things will be maintained. So what kind of goods are going out, from what particular port, who is sending those goods, to which party the goods are sold. So each and everything in the outward, it will be written. And the loading of the goods takes place. The loading will be taken in the vessel of the ship, and from that loading itself, it will reach to the other country. Next is duty to be paid on goods, derelict, wreck, etc., which come into India in as per section 21. All goods, derelict, jet SAM, float SAM, and wreck brought into India shall dealt with as they were imported into India. Right? Whenever these kind of goods come to India, we should deal as if they are imported to India. Thus, even though such goods had not been actually imported, they would be liable to import duty. Even if these goods are not actually imported, maybe because of some reason these have come to India. So we need to treat such goods as imported. However, if such goods are entitled to admitted duty-free under this act, duty would not be levied, provided it shows to be satisfaction of the proper officer. There are some goods which are duty-free. If the officer feels it like these are duty-free goods, then he is entitled to make that satisfaction. So what is the meaning of this derelict? Derelict, this refers to any cargo or a vessel, etc., abandoned in the sea with no hope of recovery. Okay. So one goods were there which were about to come to India. One importer was importing goods and he was not having any hope that goods will get returned. So without a hope also the goods will get returned to Indian port. So this kind of situation, right, import, it is called as derelict. This refers to a cargo, even a vessel, which were having a no hope, but even then it returns to India. So if it returns to India, that is also treated as import of goods. Next is jetsam. This refers to goods jettisoned from the vessel to save the vessel from sinking. Okay, so there were some vessel which were about to sink, right? Sinking was happening. Now, when the sinking was happening, the other ship or the other people, they found that some ship is sinking, some vessel is sinking. So they gone there while coming, they saw it and they removed those all things and they bought into India. So now in that case, such thing is called as jetsam, and even they are also liable for import duty. That is also imported goods. Next is floatsam. Now jettisoned goods which continue floating in the sea are floatsam. Okay. See the goods, the ship has sunk, or the vessel in the ship has it came out of the ship and it was floating in the ocean. Now that floating goods which are floating in the ocean, right, in between the ocean or whichever part of the ocean, those floating goods we call as floating in the sea are called as floatsam, right? Floatsam. Now suppose if they are in the border areas, they are very much near to any kind of port, there such goods are floatsam. Then wreck. This refers to a cargo or a vessel or any property which are cast ashore by tides after shipwreck. Okay. So any cargo or a vessel or any party which has which came while you were expecting that by some seashore or some other things, it has came to some other port, or it has lost the direction sometime, so came to some other port or some other way. So those are called as wreck. Like in the ocean, when they are coming, they just see the direction by some map or some other things, right? There it won't help them out, maybe because of some natural hazard or natural reason the direction has got changed, they came to some other port or um, some other beach or some other port. In that case, some those kind of goods are of cargo or a vessel property are called as wreck, and those are also taxable.